Hello, everybody. Hope you're staying safe in this, interesting days. All right. So today we're going to look at how you can step up your automation game, especially your F5 automation game. Right? So first thing is, there was quite a lot of interest in for this webinar. First, we're going to look at why are you here? Why is there an interest when we say step up the automation game? Right? And then, what other F5 automation deployments? Where are the gaps? Right? We can touch upon it based on some of the surveys that we did, based on some of the understanding that we have had, and all that. And then how we can look at the holistic automation helps helps the customers and helps us and the FI to sort of manage this as a whole. Right? And how AppViewX and F5 together can help you simplify your life, right, and your work as well. We'll do a quick demo and then spend some time on Q&A and please do share any questions that you might have. Would like to hear from you a lot more. All right. So when we look at why are you here? So most often, you're here because the automation that you're using isn't comprehensive enough, or there are some gaps that you're still not able to address from an F5 automation perspective. Right? You're not able to do an end-to-end automation, and there is still some level of manual tasks involved and whatnot. Right? And the current automation tool, you will need some sort of developer or coding or Python experience to use that, or set up, or even use it and whatnot. Right? It hasn't eliminated all your manual tasks. It could be certificate creation, for example, or it could be the change request that you still manually create, a whole bunch of stuff, right? It's like, it does automation tasks, but there is an orchestration challenge as well. And the service infrastructure, right? There are blind spots, meaning you're not able to see what the visibility into what was configured or what the status, statistics from your application perspective. Having that visibility and then defining a task for that, right, and defining a way to remediate it, to resolve it, that capability, more of a closed loop capability. Right? That is another challenge that we have seen customers have. And with all these, it sort of increases the total cost of ownership of F5. It creates some manual errors and incidents and all that, and also adds a risk, right? F5 is a beautiful product. I've worked decades in it, all the way from the version 3, version 4 days of 3DNS and pre TM shell days. So it gives you amazing power, amazing capabilities, right? And with amazing power, with power comes responsibility, right? So how can we channelize this power, especially when you're offering that to layer 1, level 1 ops, or application ops, or DevOps and whatnot? How can we channelize that, and how can we manage that, the power that it presents? That's what we're going to look at today. Right? And while there are these gaps, right, the app teams are looking for more faster, agile deployments. Right? Now, the traditional deployments of a hardware-based F5 versus the new Nginx deployments and all that, right? It changes the perception, meaning the app teams would prefer running an Nginx on their own and managing it on their own, That makes it a lot easier for them. One app per one load balancer per app type of model. Now there also you need to have as an enterprise, you need to have a central compliance, a central policy and whatnot, right? Now because the app teams are frustrated, they move to that line. It's either the far left or far right side of things, right? Either it's consolidated load balance, which makes it easier for the network and the security team to manage, or it's a distributed infrastructure where every app spins of their own, right? It's easier for them to manage. It becomes a nightmare for the network and the security teams and whatnot. And what this enables is more load balancers, which means more virtual load balancers, Nginx and all that, which means more engineers to support them. Because when there is a problem with the load balancer, invariably the call lands on the load balancer teams and all that. So, which means that you need to support them. And also designing new requests, making simple changes, all those things lands into that team. And then this sort of increases or explodes total cost of ownership, right? And then it becomes difficult and error-prone. A bunch of other challenges come in with this, especially when you have to upgrade, patch it, and whatnot. Now, to summarize, right, one of the biggest challenges is simple UI-based intuitive way where the end users, whether it is a DevOps team or a self-service team or network team, security, any internal consumer, right, they are not able to easily consume it. You need somebody to help them do that, right? And then they are not able to see their application with an app-centric visibility, app perspective, right? And that's what our name AppViewX comes in, right? It gives you that app perspective visibility, right? And then a streamlined process is the challenge. And then especially with the DevOps pipelines and that the DevOps movement picking up speed, AS3, they're requesting AS3 based configuration, infra as code and all that. That adds a different spin to this also. And how can you have a standard process across both DevOps, who's looking at an AS3 type of model, versus a self-service who just wants a simple UI that they click a button and then get it, right? And then how can you implement compliance across the board? Right? These are some of the challenges that we see customers face in spite of having the existing automation tools that they use. Now, from a value perspective, right, the existing automation tools is able to get you to a level where you're able to automate the tasks. But then there is still some manual aspect. So, maybe 1/3 of the tasks get automated, but then there is still a long way to go. Right? That's what we have seen. Typically, if you want to get a certificate, or if you want to upgrade the F5, or if you want to do a DR or a blue-green switch and all that, using F5, managing those, etc. Right? Canary-based deployment model where you want a percentage of traffic to go to a new pod. So all of those are interesting challenges. Now, what AppViewX does is sort of takes the curve. This is a real customer value, by the way, right? We have abstracted, some of the proprietary details and all that, but this is what a customer has done to implement. It's a large customer who has hundreds, I think they have 500 load balancers, whatnot. They have fully automated the whole process, right? Majority of all the requests go through this automated process. They have a cookie cutter definition, and they have a standard change window. And anything that goes through the automation process is a standard change management process. So that gets auto-approved at the end of the day. And they are spread across the world, so the change gets implemented during that change window in that particular location, in that particular data center. And it basically does a pre-check, make sure everything is good, implements a whole bunch of stuff and all that. So this sort of gets you the full automation end-to-end for F5, for all the F5 modules, all things F5. Now, we look at the solution, right, for the problem that we discussed, right, how AppViewX can help. Right? The way AppViewX sits in, or rather fits in, is it fits in like as a master orchestrator, right? Master service orchestrator. There is a whole bunch of ways where you can call F5, meaning, let's say you set up F5. Now, there is a team in your org which is using Terraform. Somebody else using Jenkins for their CI/CD pipeline. And they are using OpenStack or OpenShift for PaaS offerings and whatnot. Or there are folks consuming a service from a ServiceNow for service requests or self-service and all that. Or they might be using Ansible even for automating a whole bunch of network changes and whatnot. Right? Any use case or any simple automation task that you create in AppViewX, by default, spits out all these capabilities where you can consume it either using a GUI or a REST API or an Ansible playbook or a Puppet, or a Terraform template or Jenkins plugin. So there's different ways that you can consume. Now, irrespective of how they consume it, from the administrator perspective, he is able to see what they requested in one place. And then he will be able to see what are the steps that it took to implement that, right? Now, from the southbound integration perspective, it can talk to Nginx or F5, have a single view, whether it is Nginx or F5. It can talk to ITSM systems, Remedy, ServiceNow, ServiceDesk, Jira, whatnot, and it can create tickets, open tickets, closed tickets, whole bunch of stuff. It can talk to all the DNS to basically find the free IP, reserve the free IP, and then basically create DNS records for it and whatnot. So if it is internal DNS, it will create DNS records and go create Route 53 or a GTM or whatnot, and external DNS, and configure the whole bunch of stuff. And then if you want to get the certificates from any of the CAs, internal CA or external CA, it'll automate the whole process to get the certificate. Create WAF rules, firewall rules on F5, web application firewall policies. You have a standard template, you apply. All of those capabilities are there. If you're using a HSM, it'll orchestrate the whole process of generating the key, configuring the SSL profile, right, implementing it, and whole bunch of those, right. Now, the key aspect is you can accelerate your application delivery. What we mean is you can define what are the templates, right? You can basically offer like gold, platinum, bronze type of offering within your templatized offering for the application. Or you can even define it as a sample where there is an application A, you want to design it based on that application. So you can take that and then configure all of those, orchestrate all of those based on your internal process. And centrally manage and automate all the F5 modules, right? LTM, GTM, ASM, AFM, whatnot, right? DNS and all that, right? And basically any complex tasks like upgrades, right? Especially some of the recent vulnerabilities that came in, right? You have to go identify which device is vulnerable, implement a workaround or implement a patch to do that. While you implement a patch, you have to make sure all the WIPs are working before and after, and the status are the same. All those is fully automated and all that, right? And then if you want to set up a blue-green deployment, you want to set up a dashboard where you want to see number of connections, flip between blue-green, or you want to set up a canary-based model where you send the percentage traffic to one part which you have upgraded, whatnot, and you want to integrate all of those. All that capability is available out of the box. Now, the way AppViewX itself runs is it's a fully highly available platform. It gives you real-time monitoring capability where it will basically go get state status and statistics. And then with all those data, right, it can actually drastically bring down the time to repair, time to remediate a problem, right, whether it's a challenge or whatnot, right? And then it'll basically, it sort of enables reliability and then simplifies the whole process. You can also have a source control where you have a central source control and have that implemented, have Git or Bitbucket or whatever as your source. And if you want to use say S3, we will basically then use your source as your Git as the single source of truth, right? And then we basically integrate with BigIQ, and we also do a southbound Ansible. So if you want to use Ansible, if you have Ansible integrations already, we leverage that. If you use BigIQ, we talk to the device through BigIQ. So we actually enhance what you use there, and then we actually orchestrate the process across multiple systems if you are doing that. Again, these are real results from hundreds of customers that we have that are using AppViewX to automate the process. There's a huge reduction on time to value, especially in the application deployment. Mean time to resolution, so there's large reduction, especially the FI farm health and the application health. You're able to slice and dice different ways you can view that. And then customers have been able to increase the number of FI devices, right, without increasing the number of people who manage that. One of our customers, they had 5-member team, and they had somewhere around 5,000 VIPs when they started off. It was a few years back, and with whole bunch of new digital transformation, new requirements, virtual devices, and all that, they have increased from 100 or so device to 300 devices or somewhere around that number, and with the same team, right? And that was like a huge benefit that they were able to get from AppViewX. And then it's a huge reduction on the mundane hours, like the simple things like enable, disable, or those type of basic tasks is completely self-serviced, and you don't have to. The engineers are not spending time doing that. They are spending time doing good things about more architecture stuff and whatnot. And then this is one use case. Customer used to they had a hard dollar which they used to pay to manage to an outsourced vendor, and based on that, they were able to save $4 million in the amount of in the hard dollar that they were able to save paying with self-service capability and automation capabilities that they deployed. We can quickly jump into a demo, and then we can then look at Q&A. I'll have to. It's an interesting plugin. I need to figure out how to switch the demo screen. Just give me a minute. Okay, I hope I got it right. Let me make sure. All right, that's good. So we're able to see the screen. So let me jump over there. So this is our AppViewX. I just logged in. There is an ADC dashboard. There are different dashboards that you can configure. So the way we have built AppViewX is it's a microservices-based platform. So you can run it on Kubernetes. It runs on containers and whatnot. So which means that you can auto-scale this as needed. And the key aspect is it's a plugin-based architecture. So let's say F5 releases a new version, right, where they move from SOAP to REST. Let's say they move from REST to, say, NetConf, right? You don't have to upgrade your AppViewX. You can just update the plugin, and then we will support that the new capability, right? So I'm going to go into the Workflow Studio. This is where you define your automation workflows. So I'll just pull up a good workflow that there are a whole bunch of out-of-the-box plays that we have, like Ansible calling F5, F5 calling Ansible, whole bunch of stuff and all that. But let me talk about two interesting use cases here. This is a modular web creation. It's a sample. So you can actually take this, customize it based on how you need. These are like I rules. and it's actually even simpler than I would say. So the way we have built it is this is the workflow right here. This is like the mechanics dashboard. This is how you set up, right? How you consume it, there are different ways to consume. So if you look at this, you can basically use the form or an API. So if you click on it, it basically generates the API for this particular use case. And then these are the parameters that you need to pass on to trigger this workflow, right? To basically create a web, right? So if I, again, it basically goes and talks to ServiceNow to create a ServiceNow change ticket. Now this, you can also use, these are like Lego blocks, right? You can actually reuse a flow that was built by some other team. So in this particular case, this ServiceNow integration, that itself is built as a common flow for everybody to use, right? It'll basically go check for ServiceNow, it'll create a ticket, all those definitions is defined. So this also can be consumed using API and Terraform, Ansible and whatnot. So this, in here, you're just calling that particular flow. So like that, F5 virtual server creation could be a flow, and this actually is a flow in itself. So within that, it basically has configured pre-validation, post-validation, a whole bunch of stuff. Like that, you can have different blocks, which is defined, right? Like you could basically have an LTM creation, a GTM creation, a app creation. All you have to do is drag and drop and map the variables, right? So there's a simple variable mapping that you do, which basically tells you, where the input is, where the output is, and whatnot. So I will basically select something here, and then let's say select this one, and then so it basically tells you where the request is, and you just have to drag and drop to connect these two, right? So it'll basically give you, and here if I click on this, right, there is this form. Where is this particular request going? Right? If I click these two, it will tell me how they are mapped between, right? What is the value that gets mapped from one to another? So it's a pretty simple, easy, intuitive way of defining these flows. So once you define this flow, right, the way it will be consumed either is using the GUI or Terraform or Ansible, whatnot. Right? So when you click on this, it will give you a code snippet, right? You can, I'm not sure if you're able to see this pop-up, you can download that code snippet. So let's say there is a Terraform team using that. You just have to download the template and then send it to them. They'll know how to call it, and then I'll show you how the request will show in a minute. So once you build this flow, if you click on the purview, this will tell you how the form would look like. So these are the inputs that you get, whether it's coming from Terraform or whatnot. These are the inputs. Once you trigger, it'll go through the steps, right? So let me show you a completed request as to how it would look. Go here and say on a closed request and look for F5. So this is the model or persona. So here I click on this. These are the variables that was passed. These are the values that was passed on. So if it was using Terraform, this is the data. The DevOps team, this is the data they called, right? You get this data, and then it went through all this process to generate config, dev pre-validation, and whatnot. And if you want a manual approval process, you can do that as well. Where you go look at, in this particular case, it's a TM shell-based implementation. The same thing is AS3-based, where you'll see AS3 config there, and then it also has a rollback config. So depending on how you want it, whether you want to use API, whether you want to use AS3, whether you want to use CLI, all that capability is there out of the box, right? The other interesting use case I want to talk about is the upgrade capability, right? So if you take a look at this software upgrade, the same exact thing. The only thing is it's sort of built through the Lego blocks. For example, QKView, there is an option where you can generate QKView, upload it to iHealth and whatnot, right? That this is this subflow, right? So if you look at this, this will basically generate a QK view and upload the file and check and all those things. Now you are basically using that in this particular upgrade flow, where before you upgrade, you verify, make sure everything is good, and then you install it in the standby, and then you basically do a backup and get the resource status, all those things before and after. You do a force offline of the device, enable it, reboot the device, make sure everything is good, check all the compare the pre and post, and then if there is a problem, send it to a manual check. If not, if all the resource or offline and online are the same, then you would send an email with all the object code comparison to the user, right? So all that you would need to upgrade is available. So you can pretty much custom tune it for your use case. Say if you want to create a change ticket and whatnot, a whole bunch of capabilities, and makes it a lot easier to use this, right? The other important aspect in the same studio, there is generate your own reports and all that. I don't want to touch upon that, but more importantly, the pages, which is the service catalog pages, right? So let's say go to, I went to workflow, I guess. So let me go to the pages view. So the pages here, if I go to design, what this does is basically you have an option to build your own service catalog, right? So here we have a couple of sample pages. I basically select this. What this means is you can build your own branding. So if you go to build, you can just drag and drop, build your own branding, internal naming for this. Or if you want them for the level 1 ops, you only want to give them 3 options, right? You can define that. You can give them option to track and create manage DNS records. Basically as a service, right? You want to offer this as a service. Same thing, they can call this using API and whatnot as well, right? So here, let's say you build that workflow, the upgrade workflow, right? You want to give that to the user, or if you want to give them, either unused WIP decommission capability or ITSM automation. So you can basically drag and drop those in here and define those so that they will be able to see only those workflows. You can group, slice, and dice it. Pretty easy way to build this and then use it as well. Now, this could be the landing page, and this will be the only thing that they would see also when they are logging in. So you can basically define a cookie cutter way, and especially if you're creating a dashboard where you're looking to offer a blue-green, right? You can build a dashboard, give them only that capability for their application alone, and they are able to do that. So a whole bunch of things there. We can set up a time, walk you through in more detail. What this enables you is it enables you to do an end-to-end automation and simplify the whole process. You don't have to know coding to do this, and you're able to implement it and then immediately see value and automate end-to-end. Right? Sorry to rush through. I was trying to squeeze it within 30 minutes. So if you have any questions, please type it in. We would like to get as many questions as you can so that we understand your perspective and we are able to address what you're looking for. And please do challenge us as well because, again, we want to improve ourselves as well. So wherever we think you think we need to focus on, do share that also. There are a few questions. Let me answer them one by one. Are you cloud-based? Yes. We can run on all the cloud. As I said, it's a containerized architecture. You can run on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. We give you a VM. Underneath the VM, there is Kubernetes as well. Or you can run it on EKS, all sorts of things. So it's basically cloud hosted. So you can run it on your cloud. We also have an option of using it as SaaS, but then there is a connectivity, a whole bunch of other things and all that. So how do you connect to ADC devices? We connect through the APIs. So we have option to connect to API and SSH also. So primarily the API for most of the automation. Do you offer standalone management of F5 or just enhanced BigIQ management? We do offer standalone management. We don't have to go through BigIQ. We can use the F5 APIs directly. We can go through BigIQ management also. so that you get an add-on benefit also if you're already using this IQ. There is no difference from a use case perspective with respect to how you use it, right? How many users does the service catalog allow? Is it unlimited? It is unlimited. Now we have customers using it for 7,000 to 10,000 users. They log into this to manage their DR. So there is a simple widget. I didn't go into the dashboard and widgets and all those things. You can have a simple widget where you can say primary data center, secondary data center. You can let them click only that button, which means that it will trigger a DR for their application alone, right? Irrespective of whether they are running it on Nginx or GTM or Route 53 or whatever DNS, Akamai, whatever DNS they use, it will basically route it over seamlessly. You can also do a forced route where on the LTM, right, you can do a force down to force the connections to be reconnected. Whole bunch of capabilities there. We can talk about that. The thing is, this if you're using ServiceNow can be the front end. That can be a service catalog, or maybe we have customers using ServiceNow, but also use our service catalog because this is they use ServiceNow for the simple request. They use AppViewX for a little bit more advanced requests because they can control and they can they can give an advanced way of automation as well, right? For example, you don't want to set up ServiceNow for an upgrade flow, right? But the engineering team will set up a level 1 ops to an upgrade flow where you will basically set this up and make sure that they are using this flow to implement or upgrade and whatnot. So those type of options are there. I didn't go into reports. There is a whole bunch of capabilities and build your own reports, just like how we built the service catalog page. And we have a lot of customers using their internal branding, internal view, and all that. And then with that role-based access control, right, you can give them, like if there is a DevOps team who wants to use Terraform or the APIs to do certain things, you only give them access to their objects and their API and whatnot, all that either using SSO or LDAP or whatnot. So a whole bunch of options there. Right? I didn't talk about the statistics and state status part as well. You also will be able to, let's say there is a primary DR, you can trigger that, and then you'll be able to see the traffic going from active to standby in a graph. All that is there. Any other questions? Going once. Fatima, are you seeing any other questions? In the last one, there were a bunch of questions. I wasn't able to see that scrolling. So if you have any questions that I missed, just to let me know.
No, Murali, the last one was how many users does the service catalog allow? Is it unlimited?
Okay, yeah, we did answer that.
Yes. So yeah, that's the last one.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll just give a few more seconds if there is any questions. All right. I don't see anything coming in. All right. There's one more. What is the pricing model? Again, this is an interesting question. We can definitely talk a lot more in detail if you reach out to us. Again, we have a device-based and an object-based pricing model. Again, we can talk about that in detail. The value that you get versus the price is it's completely it's incomparable. All right, that's good. Thanks everyone. Thank you for joining. Please take a look at our product. Sign up for a demo, or shoot me an email if you want me to walk you through. I can give a more detailed demo based on my experience as to how I used it in my past life. You can send it to murali@appviewx.com or info@appviewx.com. You can just address it to me as well. Thank you. Have a nice day and stay safe.